Susan Rockefeller is an award-winning documentary filmmaker, artist, conservationalist, and the founder and editor-in-chief of Musings. It is my great honor to introduce you to one of my greatest mentors, Susan.
So I just want to say that when Jacqueline asked me to join in today, it took me about 1 second, right, Jacqueline, to say yes, because I believe in choices that renew, inspire, support, and empower. And that's what International Women's Day celebrates and what Fyli amazingly catalyzes, creating the right support and circumstances to lift women's potential to do the work that is ours to do. Because as we all know here, when women band together, anything is possible. And now some history that Jacqueline also alluded to, that International Women's Day has been celebrated since 1911 to recognize the impact of working women coming together and advocating for gender equality and celebrating the economic, cultural, and political achievements of women. Today is about the imperative to mix and to elevate, to need and to watch women rise everywhere. So this morning, I want to talk about bread. Bread. The simplest of foods, bread occupies an essential place in almost every culture and civilization. The word Bethlehem literally means house of bread. Bread is the staff of life and essential for sustenance, and in slang, of course, bread refers to currency, the economic and personal freedom that is so essential to women's empowerment. So bread is really more than food. It's a theme. It's a symbol for a larger journey through life. And much as ancient breads were a source of inspiration, for many of us, bread baking was a form of therapy during COVID. Bread baking was a place people turned to in order to deal with the deepening anxiety over the pandemic. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I started baking bread, and about 500,000 of us got back to baking. And why? Because we'd been reduced to our element, and bread is an essential part of life that reflects the philosophy of innovation and nourishment. Baking bread grounded us. Our ability to knead and bake and come together was critical to our resilience and in some ways our psychic survival. COVID was a wake-up call to our intrinsic interconnectedness as we witnessed tremendous dislocation, loss of lives and livelihoods. And how did we cope with it all? We did it together. So many of us, well, not all of us, but so many of us were in service to others and we supported each other. So bread baking in life. We are all born with the right ingredients and all pretty much made of the same recipe. Sometimes we get kneaded and knocked. Sometimes we fall apart, too much flour. Sometimes we never rise to our potential, too little yeast. Life and circumstance tests and shapes us again and again. But when women support, advocate, and demand change is necessary to raise all women to their highest potential, we have the possibility for all of us to rise. We can share our sourdough starter, we can pass it on, knowing it will continue to grow and nourish others. And metaphorically, the rise is comparable to Joseph Campbell's hero's journey, which is about a mythic adventure, a decisive crisis, and finally, a transformation. I would ask each one of you, what is your hero's journey? What gives you hope for a better world, for a more positive future for you and other women, and globally for our beloved Earth? For me, nature has always been my source of inspiration. My father was an early conservationist, and my mother went from being a stay-at-home mom with 3 children by the age of 23 to becoming a professor of anthropology. In college, I read Emerson and Thoreau, and Wendell Berry became one of my all-time heroes. I learned about agriculture, biodiversity, and ecosystem health, and all this led me to study organic gardening at UCSC. After college, I went to live with the Inuit in Alaska to grow gardens and become part of a subsistence culture, which would transform into the cornerstone of much of my own creative work in cultural conservation, art, and environmental sustainability. I waited until I was in my 30s to get married and have children. And when I followed my heart to live with the Inuit, I had absolutely no awareness that decades later, that choice would lead me to meeting my incredible husband and soulmate, David, who also shared my passion for Alaska. So my life and yours is an opportunity to rise to adventure, not knowing the outcome, but believing in unfurling of choices that land you where you are meant to be. I know now that every action and every choice counts, even the ones that temporarily seem to lead the wrong way. When you follow your hero's journey, it will take you where you need to go. So what helped me rise? My drive to be an impactful entrepreneur, engaging in nonprofit work, committing to family and friends, feeding my need for creative expression through painting and film, and something that is so important, maintaining health and vitality. All of these contribute to making my life a consequential one, filled with passion, purpose, and gratitude. I believe what makes the life, the essential ingredients, work together. They overlap and intersect in mysterious ways, much like a healthy and biodiverse ecosystem. Blended together, they help me rise. Many of you here today are entrepreneurs and building your own businesses. 10 years ago, I founded my business called Musings, a digital magazine that curates ideas and inspiration for a better world. I profile entrepreneurs who use the power of business to make positive impact. Inspired by so many of these dynamic leaders, Musings became a springboard for my new business, Muses. Working at our family farm over the past 2 years during COVID in the Hudson Valley, we created our first product, Muses Neck Potion No. 9, an organic roll-on CBD topical to minimize joint and neck pain and tech neck, which is a condition I'm sure many of you can relate to because we spend so much life on our devices. So Musings was born from the conviction that we all need a pain-free Muses moment to savor life with a little help from plant wisdom to get us there. In the last few decades, I've witnessed a growing movement of innovators working on radical transparency in all sectors. Being a global citizen can start with the choices that we make, from what we buy and what we eat, to supporting renewable energy and being part of the circular economy, to investing with women and voting in elections for impactful leaders who can help us imagine a new way forward. These are some of the greatest ways I've found to promote social and environmental justice. My husband and I have a mantra that guides us in our daily life. The mantra is protect what is precious. Protect what is precious. We have 3 pillars: family, art, and nature. And we find that these values transcend politics and connect us to people all over the world. We all want our families healthy. We all understand the power of the arts to heal and move us from consumption to creativity. And we all know that if nature isn't protected and healthy, we won't be either. So for all of us, to be able to rise, we do need each other. And as we know from Fyli, we need women supporting women. Studies show that women set more ambitious life goals in the presence of other women they admire. So as Mark Twain says, keep away from small people who try to belittle your ambitions, because the really great people make you feel that you too can become great. My hope is that we can all imagine a world where we can feel renewed, inspired, supported, and empowered. That we can imagine a world where women unleash their potential to make our world a more just, sustainable, and loving place for all. So let us continue to make and bake and break bread together to raise ourselves and all women to greater heights. And let's rise to the brighter side, to the sunny side up for all of us. For when we rise, all of humanity rises with us. And just like baking bread with its seemingly simple ingredients and basic instructions to pour it and add, to knead, to watch, to wait, to bake, and to partake, whatever actions that we contribute, no matter how small they may seem, we all fit into a larger ecosystem of impact. We are all catalysts, and we will all rise if we do so together. So happy International Women's Day. Happy Fyli Tribe. It is wonderful to be here, and thank you so much.